we will now go to the exercise, and the exercise begins with Jack. So I'm going to set up just a little scenario each time. Jack is conducting a deposition. There's a procedural dispute over a term of the protocol, and Jack needs to load up the protocol and address the issue of whether or not stenographic recording is necessary or not, and to be able to use the device. He is used the platform. He is going to draw people's attention to what's necessary through an annotation tool. So it's all yours, Jack.
Okay, thank you. All right, I've used the
speaker. Each of our participants is going to narrate what they're doing. Okay.
Okay.
Especially if they have problems. Like Samantha's was fantastic when she narrated for us. Here's exactly what just happened to me. No learning experience is as good as that. Go ahead, Jack.
Okay, I'm going to first click on the share screen, the green button, to be able to share my screen with the whole group. I have an array of things to pick from in the basic category. The document of importance is this one with the red type, and I'm pulling it up. I want to get rid of all the pictures so I can more clearly see the document. This is the Southern District of New York sample protocol for remote depositions, and this will answer the question of whether stenographic reporting is required or whether we can simply use digital recording, such as that has done for our meeting today. I'm going to take us down to, I've got things in the way here. Trying to minimize, I'm having difficulty minimizing the pictures that are obscuring my screen and my share screen for me, from my point of view. Anyway, the paragraph of importance is paragraph 7. And I am going to, I'm looking for my, my Zoom toolbar and it's not popping up. Maybe if I click on, gotta move. Well,
and by the way, this is one of the things that one of the setting issues is you can do a setting that keeps your toolbar there all the time, or otherwise you have to somehow, everybody knows these programs, you have to somehow get your cursor over into this sweet spot and then it will bring up whatever it is that is hidden. In this case, your palette. Have you found it yet?
I have, yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you for that interlude so I could scramble. I'm gonna, it brings up a palette of tools that you can use in Zoom, and I've chosen the tool called Draw, and it allows me to pick different things that I can use to draw on my screen. And let's see, I think I have to pick a color too using the format button. So I've picked yellow. Hopefully this will work. Okay. So it says remote deposition shall be recorded by stenographic means consistent, and this is where I can't read, consistent with the requirements of Rule 30B. So protocol, we have no choice but to have a stenographer present who will take down the deposition in the traditional fashion. Now, I can also
just a second before you go on that, just substantively.
Yeah.
So as the protocol says, is the judge just says, "Hey, this is one protocol."
I couldn't hear you.
And that would have actually been developed in this case probably by a big law firm who submitted this, and they specify stenographic means. But as Stephanie has already shown you when she went through the law, that actually is not the law. And this shall be recorded by stenographic means. That applies only if you agreed to it, and that is something you will never agree.
Right.
Never under any circumstances ever let anybody tell you it has to be stenographic. It means fight that out.
Okay.
Contact Stephanie. She'll help you get the motions together and protective orders. Go ahead, Jack.
Okay, I was just going to show you that what you said before, Thad, about if you're using a Zoom tool to annotate, as you scroll down the document, the highlighting or the annotation stays where it is, rather, and the text of the document that you're screen sharing moves. So this is not a permanent feature now of this exhibit as it's digitally on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now erase my yellow Zoom annotation. I'm going to look for the I see them. Look for the PDF tool palette so that I can highlight with PDF the text in question. So this should turn yellow. And now when I scroll the document through the document, this yellow goes with it. And so if I'm moving on to other exhibits and I need to go back to exhibit 9, that's still going to be there if I've used the PDF tools.
Well done. Thank you very much, Jack. Now, depending on what the host has set as the settings in terms of who can share and who cannot and how that works, that is a setting you have to pick. If the setting isn't done right, no one else can share now because Jack has the share unless the host takes that away. So in which case we would ask Jack, would you please now stop sharing? But we have the setting set so that the next person who wants to share can basically bump off the predecessor. And that will be Rocky. And the scenario we have for Rocky is that the court reporter, as those of you who do many depositions know, they always, may I have your card? Accountability project, what is that? So Rocky is doing the deposition. The court reporter wants to know that. Rocky, of course, who does know that information and could readily give it, is disgusted that this basic thing is being done. And she is going to show how to go to the GAP website and see what it is, what this contact information is. So, Rocky.
Okay, so I'm going down to share screen and picking screen 1, since I have an external screen as well, and then clicking share, and then I'll pull up just a Chrome page to be able to put in our website, and then we can go to our contact information here.
But the court reporter still doesn't know what to look for in that page. Is there any way you can direct his or her attention to what you want?
Yes, so we're going to want to try to highlight the mailing address. So I went up to the top toolbar and I'm going to click on annotate. And then I'll head over to draw and choose the highlighting option, which is like the little rectangle with the square, with the filled in squares, and then choose the color under format and then try to highlight it so it's easier to identify.
Very nice. And what happens if you scroll?
Well, right now I can't scroll because I didn't go back to mouse, I think, maybe.
Yes.
It won't even let me move at all. So if I go back to mouse and then click, then the block moves with the scrolling.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, what is this a very important point is as you go back and forth from wanting your mouse to select something on a document or select something on Zoom, as soon as you go to the annotation palette, you have given over control of your mouse to Zoom. And your mouse will now no longer manipulate anything on your computer until you then, after you've done your highlighting, you have to remember, you have to go back up on the feature palette there for the annotations, and you have to click on mouse. You have to regain control of your mouse. This is one of the ones that if you don't know this, it can take you a long, long time to figure that out, and the frustration level could be very high. Now, in this case, there's no disadvantage, right? There's no disadvantage because Rocky went to the Gap website. Rocky cannot make any changes to the Gap website. So the only annotation tool that is going to be available to her is the Zoom annotation. If you actually want to put some color or something on that, unless you have some kind of a third-party program. We have had situations where we will call up a website in a deposition for a witness to see, or call up a website for a judge to see. And if you do that, because you are not able to make any changes or alterations at all to a web page, this annotation tool is going to be the one you use. Okay, so now we will go to Adam. Adam is going to be, we'll need to also go to Exhibit 9, which is the protocol. And the question there is this defense lawyer on the other side has said, okay, all right, so maybe you are allowed to stenographically record just as Jack had highlighted for us, where it says shall be stenographic, and Stephanie is telling us it doesn't have to be. But now it's a different argument. Now the argument is apart from that, the protocol says, does the protocol say what the official record is? Can this video recording, can a digital recording be the official record, or is it stenographic? Now, in this scenario, Adam has a bunch of his notes on this document already, which he does not want to show counsel. And he doesn't want counsel seeing another thing on his screen. You saw what Rocky just did, and there's part of the presentation. Rocky showed you her whole desktop. We could see that everything that was there. But now we want to have where you are only going to use the advanced screen portion, and we will ask you to do that, Adam.
Okay. So, and I say there's a trick to this which I have not quite mastered, and that is, in the circumstances that we're describing, if I've got a document that has lots of notes that I don't want someone seeing, and if I don't know in advance what they're going to ask to see, it's rather difficult to choose just the section that I'll be sharing. But nonetheless, I'm going to try this using the share screen button again down at the bottom, and it brings up all the various things I've got open on my computer. And I go to my Acrobat Reader, example 9, I've already got open, luckily. So that makes that easy. And now, the trick here is if you go to Annotate.
Okay, well, now let me ask you a question real quick here. Did you go to screen share advanced portion to get there, as opposed to having just click, because I'm not seeing this resizing bar?
Yep, you're quite correct. And now,
there we go.
And I believe I have properly aligned this, although my previous error has eliminated that victory. So I think I've sectioned off just
beautifully
answered. Let me see. And that tells us, don't take my word for it, it says it right here in print, the parties agree that the court reporter is an officer as defined by Federal Rules of Civil Procedure 28A2 and shall be permitted to administer the oath of witness. That is the wrong part, isn't it? My mistake. Let's go back to number 8. Court reporter's transcript shall constitute the official record, and it will simultaneously videotape the deposition and preserve video recording. So I've just demonstrated the correct and incorrect way to do that. But I believe, and I should clarify that what I'm seeing right now is my entire document, but there's a green window around paragraph 8. So I'm still able to see paragraph 7.
Resize that for us, just show us. Let's say you want to even something smaller than that.
And I'll say something tricky about resizing is that whereas with some programs, it'll give you a little crosshairs when you get to the right spot to resize the window. This one, you just hope that you're there, and if you can't move it, you're in the wrong spot. So right now, I'm clicking at the on the bottom right corner, but any corner of the window should do, and I can resize it accordingly. So if I want to share paragraph 9 as well, I can do that. Or if I just don't want to go past this first line, I can do it that way. And again, what I'm seeing is the window moving, but what you should be seeing is more and less print available for your viewing.
I'm
Okay,
glad
now,
you
one
clarified
question.
that.
To show this, for example, to a witness or something, the beauty of it is it's very big print. It's magnified. Did you have to do something to magnify that?
No. And I say that's obviously it's a positive from the perspective of everyone. The other question of visibility of missing something. I say the trick is on the end of, on my end where I'm sharing it, where, I don't see that. All I see is my document and the box around the section that I'm sharing.
Okay, thanks a lot. The way this works is for this tool is that the box will be occupied by however much or however little. So if you take just a small amount in there to draw the witness's attention to and make the box small enough, it will make everything very large. And keep in mind that this could very well end up being shown just exactly like it is, as Stephanie said, to a court report. In fact, the protocol that we're dealing with specifically says that all parties agree that the recording of the Zoom conference will be usable for any and all purposes unless stricken by the court. That means that if you're using this deposition to cross-examine a witness on an inconsistent statement, and you show the video, the jury will then get to see this coming up very pronounced and realize there's no way he could say he didn't understand the question was. All he had was 5 lines to take a look at. So thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. And now we will go to Samantha. And there is a question about local rule 30.4 SDNY. It's referenced in the protocol itself, this rule. And this is the rule that basically says that you can't take advantage of the situation and start talking to the client, talking to the deponent before the deponent answers a question. And so the question has come up about that local rule, and Samantha is going to show that rule to us, and she is going to use an annotation different from all of what we have seen so far. So go ahead, Samantha.
All right. So I have chosen to, at the bottom of the screen, there's that green button, screen share, as we've discussed. And through the advanced screen share setting, I'm able, as Adam did, to share a portion of my screen with you. So what I've done is I've gone to the Adobe version of Exhibit 9 to highlight or share rather the portion of the document pertaining to local rule 30.4, which says that you can't share or interfere with via chat or other message a deponent while they're being questioned. So you should be able to see just paragraph 5.
That's what we see.
And then shall I continue to
Yes.
I'm now going to share with you the document or a different file through Zoom's annotation feature. And let's see, this time I will do share desktop. Okay. Now I will pull up the file that I want to share with you. Here it is. And I want now to share with you the committee notes on Rule 30.4. And I'm going to use the Zoom feature to highlight that for you through the annotation feature. And so there is an option to highlight it. If you go to draw and select the highlighter, you should be able to highlight the text of the committee notes in Zoom annotation feature. And as you'll be able to see in just a moment, when I try to scroll, I can't scroll, as Rocky pointed out, until I select the mouse. And once I select the mouse, I can scroll, but the highlights don't stick with the text. So one sort of note for you all is that if you want to save the highlighted text, you have the option to save the file. So if you go to save the file, then you can save it as a JPEG, which can be converted to a PDF, and that will be downloaded onto your computer. So that's one thing that might be helpful of note. Now, if I want to
Hold on. You meant a screenshot, right?
a screenshot, right? So you can save a screenshot. So it's basically a JPEG image of the highlighted text if you want to save it, because otherwise the highlight, you lose that. When you scroll up and down, the highlighter doesn't stay with the text the way that it does in Adobe. So Adobe may be the preferred method for annotating an exhibit, because that will save as you're working on it.
Thank you very much, Samantha. Greatly appreciated. That I had no idea about being able to use screenshot. I don't think it's something I would use very much, but it's certainly something that I could imagine in a particular situation where I'm really trying to lock a witness in, where I've highlighted it and I use the Zoom tool, and I'm actually going to want to make that part of the exhibit. I would do a screenshot. I'm going to say I'm transmitting this now to the court reporter, and this is Exhibit 17. I'm going to make this Exhibit 17-A because I want it for sure that that's what happened. So greatly appreciate it. And now we will go to John Whitty. And in this scenario, we have one of these contentious defense lawyers on the other side. They're saying that's not the real exhibit. The real exhibit is in Dropbox. You're showing something that is your copy. Now, what is the lawyer really doing? The lawyer doesn't really care. What the lawyer is doing is trying to bide for time. The lawyer wants the client to think more about this. Or, I don't know if you've ever been stunned in a deposition. I have. You just want more time to clear your head and come up with this. This would actually be a very good Bruce. By the way, Mr. Jones, that's not the official exhibit. I'd appreciate if you showed the official exhibit. All I'm trying to do is clear my head and figure out what to do. And so John has been called upon to show an exhibit directly from Dropbox. John.
Yeah, sure. So I go down to the green share screen button, and at the top are these three small tabs: basic, or 3 small buttons: the basic feature set, the advanced set, and then the last one is the files. And that's the one I'm clicking on. And when I do that, I get an option for Dropbox or OneDrive or Google Drive. And I click Dropbox, and then I say share, and it spawns a web browser, in my case, a web browser window that has gone straight to my Dropbox, where I have these documents, and the one that is of interest to me appears in the folder. I suppose I could navigate around. I'm on my Dropbox, so I could navigate around to find the specific file I want, and I check it. And at the bottom is a button that says share screen. And I click share screen. And I assume now that you are seeing exhibit number 2, which starts off with a HTTP link with some
Yes.
edu. Okay, thank you. And so the thing about this is that what I'm sharing with you at this point is really much the same as what Rocky did before. It's a document that's in a web browser window, is all it is. And you should see me scrolling it. And so much the same as Rocky before, really the only, and as Thad explained, the only annotation option I have, and I've gone up now and selected my annotate from my Zoom toolbar, and I'm gonna say I want to draw. Anyway, the only tool I have, as we've seen, are the Zoom tools. And you should see me highlighting a sentence right now. Did you see me just highlight a bar across the bottom there? And that, again, much like everybody else, that was just simply drawn on the glass, as you can see there. It doesn't follow the document. And that's because, so then the other thing I was gonna, Thad, I don't know if you want to coach me here, but I was gonna also show you how to, now, so you're viewing this document. You don't actually have possession of this document. And so now I'm going to show you how to, and I don't think this is going to work. I couldn't get it to work. But I'm going to stop sharing my screen with you. And instead now I'm going to use the chat feature to try to share the document with you itself. So I'm going down, I've stopped sharing. I'm going down to the chat function.
Okay, so hold on just 1 second. That's exactly what like. So there's we want to be able to have this document. Somebody in the meeting is saying they don't have the document. I think that the fair reading of the protocol is that you actually have to share that with everybody who's participating in the meeting. You couldn't just pick in the chat function one person to send that to. I think you're obligated to send it to everybody for obvious reasons. But let me make one comment now about the annotation tool here, all right? This is one where this is the official exhibit. It's the exhibit that is in Dropbox. This is what the protocol required and what you have with the court reporter, whether it's Dropbox or another. That's where all the official exhibits are. You are not allowed to mark up those exhibits. You are not allowed to apply Adobe tools to those. And if you did it, you would certainly be expected to remove them immediately. This is one where the Zoom tools on the official exhibit, if that's what you're going to do, if that's what you're left with, is you would only use the Zoom annotation tools if you're illustrating, if you're demonstrating a document directly from Dropbox. That's why one of the really important things to do is to have a good relationship with the council. We are going to put this in our protocols. We'll share the protocol before we, after we've developed it for these upcoming avalanche, I think, of depositions Stephanie and I are getting ready to face. And we are going to have in there an agreement that either party can by certifying that this is a true copy with base stamp numbers, is free to show the witness their copy of it, and that if called upon by adverse counsel to demonstrate it's actually the one, you would do that. But it would make for the annotation tool to go better. And this would really fall under the cooperation function. I think you'd have a good chance of winning this with the court, because that the annotation tool from Zoom is, and based on my experience, is just not going to be enough. There are going to be requests to go back, especially on cross-examination. I want you to go back to that paragraph, and you're supposed to cooperate, and you're supposed to show them where that is, and you may actually want to show the exhibit for adverse counsel and go and where that is, where you do the screen share. You have to cooperate in these things. Okay, but
Ed, I have a question real quick.
yeah.
Couldn't you also then annotate your copy permanently and then make an exhibit, that itself an exhibit?
What you could, in the sense, and this is strictly in the sense that no one can stop you.
Okay.
And the other lawyer could object, say, I don't want copies of your, what? And then mine, I'm going to put in all of mine. And what are going to happen? These aren't authenticated. And in which case you would say, no, these will simply be deposition exhibits. I'm not making any representation now whether it be trial exhibits.
Yeah, sure.
No one could stop you.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
You could do it. Yes. And for a particularly touchy situation, you're right. That sounds like a good idea to do. Say, that was just too important. All those things you just did on exhibit number 9, Mr. Deponent. I'm going to go ahead and mark this as exhibit 9A, so that there's never any question about what it is you were looking at. Very great suggestion. That's a great suggestion, Jack. Okay, so back to, we need this document sent out through the chat feature.
So I've popped up my chat window, and I have selected that it's going to go to I have the everyone button blued up. And then I click on the file button just to the immediate right of that. And there's the options of Dropbox or OneDrive or Google Drive again, etc. I hit Dropbox, and again, it spawns, in my case, a browser window that opens to my Dropbox. And I navigate to and click the particular file that I want to share with you. And then I click share screen again at the bottom. So the process is all exactly the same. And now you should see in your chat bar, exhibit number 2 should show up there.
I see it. It's there in mine. It just suddenly appeared.
Well, and then the problem I had was when I was playing with this earlier today, I clicked on it and the link did not actually open up. So please see if you can actually get to this document now.
It's not opening. I'm not able to open it.
No, I'm not able to open it either.
Yeah, and so, and
It says paste to your browser.
Yeah, so you got to click on that thing, and then that'll give you that's going to copy the link into your into your buffer and go to your browser and paste it in. And then I was getting error 404 when I pasted it into my browser, and Stephanie's getting an error 404 too. Yeah, so I don't know what's the deal there. And I navigated around and did a little research, and when you go into Dropbox and you adjust your link permissions, there's a whole bunch of the sophisticated stuff is grayed out because I'm a free Dropbox user. And I'm thinking that that's might be part of the problem there. Anyway,
that's a great hypothesis, because they do market the pro versions as having a lot more collaboration features. This would clearly be a collaboration feature.
Well, and that brings up another point is, when I'm setting up a deposition to host, I'm using my free Zoom account, and I have a 40-minute time limit when there's 3 or more participants, right? Isn't that correct?
Only if you're the host. If you're the host. If you're joining me like with as you joined here today, you're not time limited out. But yes, if you're the host, you're limited and you have a free account.
Right, I'm going to be noticing these depositions next month, and I'm going to be the host, and I'm going to have to, I guess I'll be using Louis' account is what
I'm sure you will.
Okay, Michael.
Yeah.
Thank
Good
you.
point. I missed that one completely. You're exactly right. That would sure be terrible, wouldn't it? It's logging off now after 40 minutes. Yeah, you have to have a paid account. They're not that expensive. Are you able to send us some other document by chat that's not from Dropbox?
Yes, I could send it to you straight from my computer. Stand by. So I navigated again, chat function to everyone, hit the file button at the bottom. It says my computer. And then I navigate over to, hopefully, yeah, before too long, I get to exhibit 2, boom, boom, boom. And now it's starting to load it up right now. And this one's actually takes a second. Yeah, and now you should see it there. So that came from my computer. That did not come from Dropbox.
And it's okay, and mine is downloading nicely. So very well done. I think that this chat feature is going to be extremely useful in depositions for people who don't have the exhibits.
You know, Thad, we're OneDrive users at Government Accountability Project, and you know, a fair amount of the government folks are somehow, you know, OneDrive types too that I interact with, that are opposing counsel. And so I'm going to experiment with the OneDrive, using OneDrive to share the document versus Dropbox to share or to be the repository of the deposition exhibits.
But you have to keep in mind, because I've experimented with some of from the other cloud platforms, you have to subscribe to use that platform. That will be a deal breaker there. No deponent is going to be told they have to sign up for a OneDrive free account. Tina B made this point explicit. Dropbox, one of the features it has is you don't have to have a Dropbox account to participate. You'll get an email invitation, and that's what you do. So when I can't remember which one, but it may have been OneDrive I experimented with. They didn't have that. You had to have signed up to be able to use any functionality whatsoever. So keep that in mind when you look at something else. Is Dropbox is for sure going to work. You need to ascertain in advance, as John was saying, he's going to do, whether or not the OneDrive could be used instead. So, okay, thank you very much. We are out of time, and the breakout rooms. Number one is it can be a bit time consuming, and number two, you actually can't see what's happening with it. All that would happen is whoever put in the breakout room disappears from the big screen of where we're seeing everybody, and they end up just seeing one or two people. What I was going to demonstrate, and I could just say what this was, is that there's two ways as hosts, and only hosts can set up a breakout room. I have you'll need to get out of the breakout room at some point. There's two ways to do that in host controls. One is I can put a timer on it. I can basically say, you're going to go into the breakout room. What do we agree to? 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, you are going to automatically be put back into the meeting. This is extremely useful. Because Stephanie and I, the number of situations we have had where somebody claims they're going to go talk to the client for 10 minutes. We've had people like disappear for an hour before, haven't we? I mean, it's ridiculous. And the other thing is people can forget to come out, because the other option is you can enable whoever wants to leave the breakout room and come back to the meeting. They can do that anytime they want. But if you put people into a breakout room and have left it to them to come out when they want, they may never come out. The next thing you know, you may get a phone call or an email that says, USOB, we sat in there for an hour and 15 minutes. And you go, oh God, I'm sorry. All you had to do is click on get out. I didn't know that. You will want to set the time. I am going to default to timing every time. And if somebody needs more time, I'm going to say, great, let's go back into the room. What do you want? Add 3 more minutes? I'll add 3 more minutes back into the breakout room that they go. And that was the point we were going to make with the demonstration. It's 12:30. I apologize. We've gone over. Whoever wants to say, if there are any questions, now's the time to ask the questions. Whoever needs to leave, thank you very much for having attended, and especially for our superstar participants here today. Everybody was just fabulous.